All right, let's get right into it. Every year, you have the world's most powerful people getting together in Davos to talk about the biggest global issues. But this year, one topic went from being this far-off, theoretical thing to a blaring five-alarm fire: artificial general intelligence, or AGI. So what exactly went down?
For most of our lives, this question has been pure science fiction, right? Something our grandkids would have to deal with. It was this fascinating idea, but it was always, comfortably way out there on the horizon. But what happens when that horizon suddenly rushes up to meet you? Because that's what happened in Davos. The whole conversation just shifted. The people who are actually building this stuff stopped talking about if AGI was going to show up and started talking about how frighteningly soon it would be here. All of a sudden, the theoretical felt very, very real. So what we're going to break down here is just how fast the AGI clock has sped up. We're talking about a massive change in tone. We've gone from these kind of sleepy academic timelines to something that feels a lot more like a countdown. And at the center of this whole firestorm are two key figures. You've got Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, and Demis Hassabis, the head of Google DeepMind. I mean, these are the guys building the future. So when they spoke, you better believe everyone listened. And what they had to say was, honestly, pretty stunning. So here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't some unified prediction. What we're actually looking at is a deep, fundamental disagreement between two of the most important people in this entire field. And that disagreement, it has massive consequences for every single one of us.
And boom, here's the divide in black and white. Hassabis, he's looking at a 5-year timeline. He thinks those final steps to get to AGI are going to be the hardest. But Amodei, he says, nope, more like 2 years. And honestly, when you hear him talk, you get this very strong feeling he's saying 2 years just so he doesn't sound insane, and that he probably thinks it's even closer.
But look, this isn't just some friendly debate over coffee. The reason for all this urgency, this incredible pressure, it's not just about the science. It's rooted in something much bigger. A global race for power.
And it all boils down to one simple, critical thing: advanced microchips. The thinking is, whoever controls the supply of the most powerful semiconductor chips, well, they control the future of AI. This tiny piece of hardware has become maybe the most important geopolitical asset on the entire planet.
And this is where Dario Amodei does not pull any punches. When someone asked him about selling these advanced chips to China, this was his response. He sees it as a straight-up national security threat, arguing it's the one and only place where the West still has a major advantage. Now, what's so fascinating here is the contrast. You have Amodei sounding the absolute loudest alarm, saying chips are our only real lead. Hassabis, on the other hand, has a more measured take. He agrees China is maybe only 6 months behind, and they're fantastic at catching up. But he argues they haven't really shown they can innovate and push the frontier forward themselves. It's two totally different ways of looking at the exact same threat. So, all of this leads to a pretty logical question, right? If this technology is so powerful, so potentially world-changing, why on earth can't we all just agree to pump the brakes for a second and figure this out safely?
And this is Demis Hassabis' dream. It's a beautiful idea, right? A global scientific collaboration. Kind of like the big particle physics lab, CERN. All the best minds working together, not for profit or power, but for the good of all humanity. It's an inspiring vision of what could be, in a perfect world.
But then Dario Amodei just brings us crashing right back down to earth. The reason we can't have that beautiful collaborative project? Simple. Because it's a race. And there is no global agreement you can enforce that would make our adversaries slow down just because we decide to.
And the game theory here is just brutal. If Amodei can't trust his competitors, or his adversaries, to hit pause, then he really has no choice. He has to blitz. He has to go as hard and as fast as he possibly can to try and win. The race is on, whether we like it or not. So, let's be clear. It doesn't really matter who wins this race in the end, or exactly when they cross the finish line. The experts all agree on one thing. Massive, society-altering change is coming, and it's coming for everyone. Okay, so this is the concept you have to understand. Amodei believes this is the trigger for what he calls a fast takeoff. It's the moment an AI gets good enough to start improving its own programming. Think about it. It makes itself smarter, which lets it make itself smarter even faster, and so on and so on. It's a feedback loop that could lead to an explosion in intelligence. This is the inflection point. So how soon does he think we'll hit that point? The point where an AI can do most, if not all, of what a human software engineer does today? This is his prediction, 12 months. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. And look, this isn't just Dario Amodei out on a limb by himself. This quote went totally viral, and it's from a hugely respected software engineer, the guy who created Node.js. This belief that coding as a human profession is about to fundamentally change is spreading like wildfire among the people who actually know.
So you get this incredibly weird future that Amodei is painting. A world with explosive economic growth, the GDP is just soaring, but it's happening at the exact same time as potentially massive job losses. It's an economic shock unlike anything we have ever seen before, and he's pretty clear that governments are going to have to play a huge role in managing it.
This comment I saw from someone at Davos just sums it all up perfectly. Outside of this tiny little bubble of people who are paying close attention, most of the world is just going about its business. But for those on the inside, there's this growing feeling that we are right on the edge of something profoundly strange and transformative.
So that's the latest from the front lines. The leaders who are actually building our future are locked in this incredibly high-stakes race, and they seem fully aware of the massive disruption that's coming. Which leaves all of us with one final and pretty critical question to think about. They're getting ready for what's next. Are we?